Hello and welcome everybody to a latest episode of the TomCast. This is our fourth episode of the TomCast, a Tom the Chosen One supplemental podcast. I gotta say it this time because I didn't say it last time. But anyway, I am joined again by my good friends Mike and Andrew. How are you fellas doing today?
Hey, not too bad.
Andrew, how you doing?
Well, I'm all right, but I'm a little under the weather, which is funny because a couple episodes ago, that's right, it was Mike, then it was you, Tom, and now it's my turn. It's gone full circle, and I can't believe you guys cursed and jinxed me. We're gonna have to get you back for this.
Good luck.
Come on. Anyways, fellas, what have we been up to for the last little bit? Just everybody's being sick, everybody's recovering, everybody's dealing with the weather.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, fellas, on to the bracket today. We got quite a bit to talk about. This time with the news. Yeah, we got a lot of news to cover, so instead of talking about one topic and then talking about it ad nauseum, we're going to try and be conservative with it. We're going to try and be we're going to require some discipline. So I don't have a gavel. I have a spoon, I guess, right beside me. That's kind of like a gavel. Just like, order.
I'm not sure how effective it's going to be. Every time we do one of these, we always devolve into jaded cynicism.
Cynicism and tangents and so on and so on. Granted, people seem to like our tangents from what has been described, which is like, okay,
good.
Well,
that's good.
Good enough for me. But
so more. I'm hearing more.
Yeah,
got it.
Okay.
Yeah, people, to put it very, very briefly, people were asking, when's the next TomCast coming out? When's the next TomCast coming out? Because, we released the first two, and then we had a little bit of a break, and then we released the third one. And so, looking at it, for us, it was just like, it was a couple weeks. It was just a break. But you look at it in the actual date, TomCast episode 2 came out on February 16th. And guess when TomCast 3 came out? March 16th. It came out a full month after. So I'm like, okay. So that's why the peons are complaining.
Yeah,
that's
peons.
why. That's the chapter serfs have been complaining. And so let me see what this is about. Oh, because it's been a month since our last one, so we'll try to keep it to 3 or 2 weeks as per usual. But anyway, I digress. We're gonna go to our first news topic just right away here and get things going. First things here, which we kind of discussed a little bit off air, but we have new information from a job posting at Respawn that suggests the inspiration between the new untitled Star Wars game at Respawn. So this is from xputer.com, which is a news tech news network. But anyways, title is, and I quote, Respawn's untitled Star Wars game will be inspired by the Jedi Knight series. Classic Star Wars titles, including Dark Forces 1 and 2, will serve influence for an upcoming FPS, first-person shooter, from Respawn Entertainment, according to a job posting. Back in January of 2022, Respawn Entertainment announced that they were developing 3 new Star Wars games set in the Star Wars universe. Well, clearly. One of these was announced to be a single-player FPS game, with some speculating on some form of advanced movement mechanics being included. Respawn has a strong portfolio of first-person shooters, being the developer of both Titanfall and Apex Legends series. The studio has also found success with the Star Wars IP with its 2019 release of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and its upcoming sequel on April 28th, Jedi Survivor. Respawn has proven that the company is capable of developing high-quality linear single-player experiences that outperform even EA's expectations, while EA wanted to focus on multiplayer experiences. The unannounced FPS game is perhaps Respawn's most intriguing project. I kind of disagree with this sentiment, but I'll get into that later. The studio is well experienced with the Star Wars IP, and EA has played it safe with recent Star Wars games, refraining from microtransactions and focusing on a single-player experience. This untitled game may be finding inspiration in some of the Star Wars games of old. Multiple job postings from Respawn Entertainment suggest the forthcoming game is inspired by Jedi Knight Dark Forces. And so, yeah, it shows a little picture of, it's a cinematic lead, Respawn Entertainment, Los Angeles, California, yada yada. And then, in collaboration with Lucasfilm, the Star Wars FPS team is developing a new AAA FPS in the Star Wars galaxy. Inspired by classic titles like Dark Forces and Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, our story-driven single-player game is being developed from the ground up, leveraging the power of the Unreal 5 engine, which will be a topic that we're going to talk about soon. And basically, if you guys haven't played the original Dark Forces and Dark Forces 2, they're kind of... They look like Doom clones. Or not Doom clones, but it's like those old build engine games like Duke Nukem or Blood or that. Quake. And it was actually a really good one, a really fun Doom sort of clone that was set in the Star Wars universe. So you were fighting stormtroopers. This was actually the debut of Kyle Katarn, which is like a huge Star Wars Legends character that everybody's waiting for him to come back, and me included, because he's a very cool character. For the audience out there that doesn't know Kyle Katarn, there's this concept of a gray Jedi that we're not going to talk about because I think it's stupid.
Boy. Yeah, no, let's not get into that.
But he's basically, like a Jedi, but not really a Jedi, Force user, if you will. But he cracks wise jokes all the time, uses his blaster all the time, sort of thing. And just
Han Solo if he was a Jedi.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, it's probably a good best.
It's a better than Han Solo in my opinion. I like Kyle Katarn better than Han Solo.
Sacrilege.
Yeah, sacrilege. But yeah, this is interesting because and I can confirm I went to LinkedIn and looked at the thing there. Yeah, for cinematic lead, then there's like level lead, designer, and a few others. Yeah, for bracket Star Wars FPS. So. Very interesting.
Putting in the effort and actually doing research.
Yeah. Well,
the rest of us have to pick up the slack.
Well, a very, very quick tangent, but I have actually applied for a Respawn, not Respawn, an EA new LinkedIn post or job.
Really?
Yeah, it was for a remote game tester, like QA testing work.
Oh, okay.
Because it was it was centered in Milan, and they needed remote QA testers, and it's like English and Italian. It's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I did it, and then it's like you look, and it's like 160 other people also applied, and it's like, yeah. That aside, what do you fellas think? I personally think this is a great... If you say, like, hey, our title, our new Star Wars game, our FPS... is going to be inspired by something. If you say, it's going to be inspired like by the new Battlefronts, then I would be upset. But going, hey, it's going to be inspired by some of the best Star Wars shooters out there, then it's like, you're on the right path. You're on the right path. And personally, Respawn, they hit it out of the park with Jedi Fallen Order, so.
I mean, giving it to the masters of mobility, like Titanfall is just such a smooth shooter. Oh my god.
Can't believe you stole my point. I was going to make that point, Mike.
I'm sorry. Yeah. But like comparing that, like you've got the double jump, the force powers, essentially it all translate. You're going to have that level of mobility, and I really hope that they translate a lot of what happened in Titanfall into this. But I'm very excited for a release. I actually just recently started playing through, was it Jedi Knight 2?
Yeah, Jedi Outcast.
Jedi Outcast.
Jedi Outcast is such a classic game. It is. It's one of those I play every so often now. Jedi Academy is kind of less of a classic, but I still really enjoy it.
I remember being a kid and playing multiplayer on that on my old Macintosh when I was, like, I don't know, 10 years old, something like that. God, I spent a lot of hours at night playing multiplayer in that game, just dueling people in the middle of the friggin' arena. God, it was so much fun. Yeah, no, if it translates to anywhere near half as fun as those games, then, I mean, Respawn is definitely the studio to get it right now.
Oh, for sure.
They've been hitting it out of the park consistently, despite the fact that they don't really have a huge library beyond Apex, Titanfall, and Jedi Fallen Order.
But the fact that they have that small library and they hit it out of the park every time,
consistently.
like I will be so bold to say that they're the most competent studio at EA right now.
There are generations rare.
I don't know, maybe.
That's probably a pretty good comparison.
Yeah, I guess so. With the different rare games, that'd be a pretty good apt comparison. Waiting for my Respawn led Donkey Kong Country though. But they're incredibly massively talented, and with the release of, did you guys see the story trailer for the new Jedi game?
No.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Mike, it's like you go see it. But yeah, it's like incredible trailer. That's like, give it to me right here in the arm, please. And you better give me the syringe too.
That's right.
But, just kind of an interesting thing. It's neat how we can glimpse a lot of like how games are being developed just from simple things like from a news or like a job listing or posting, and also how much they're willing to give off in a job posting like this, because it shows if you're saying inspired by, then it's like, okay, it's trying to be kind of like that way, story-driven single-player game, and for a shooter as well is incredible. So we'll see where that one goes. So I think I don't know, you guys are pleased with this topic or this section of the news?
That's right.
If we talk more about it, I'm just going to talk more about how much I love the old games.
And that's just it, yeah. We'd be talking all day about Star Wars, which is fine by me. Maybe one day we can, or go ahead.
Sorry, I was just thinking, I'm curious, like how well they'd be able to translate the saber combat from the Jedi Academy games, because those ones were kind of hectic, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, but you could cut off somebody's head, so that's good.
But is modern Star Wars going to allow that is the question.
I heard a rumor somewhere that Jedi Survivor actually has human dismemberment.
Well, all right.
Decapitations too.
I retract my statement. I eat my words. Eat crow, as some people might say.
Well, before you eat your words, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but that's what I've heard.
I've seen some test footage. I'm pretty sure it leaked a while back.
Yeah.
Or it was just exampled a while back, but yeah, I've seen like people losing their freaking limbs and stuff.
Yeah, which I think is silly because there was the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and that show was like rated, it wasn't rated G, but it was like just PG instead of PG-13. That one was just rated PG, and a stormtrooper got cut in half with that laser field thing in like the third episode or something like that. And that was a PG show, so it's like, listen, bro, you could do this to a stormtrooper. Like, yeah, you could cut off his limbs. You could cut this guy in half. I
thought you were about to talk about where he like took 3 like smacks at that one stormtrooper that dead in like the darkness, and it did nothing. It just bounced off of him 3 times.
Oh no!
Yeah, that one was a bit weird.
That is a bit weird, but anyway,
it got goofy.
Well, that's the Star Wars discussion topic for another day. I think it'd make for a good episode too if we just find a bunch of Star Wars related topics. And
Star Wars gripes.
No, I don't want to talk about gripes. I'm a Star Wars show.
We've already aired all of our grievances before. I don't have any more grievances to air.
Yeah, I don't think we get any more. But anyway, next little piece of the news, going from one sci-fi series to the other, and let me get the...
I believe this is your kind of specialty.
Yeah, and this is kind of the part that kind of upsets me, but it's also...
all right.
Anyway, well, it's not the news isn't upsetting. It's quite exciting, but it's the fact that I don't really have a lot of people to share it with. That is kind of sad and disappointing. But anyway, Games Workshop, the guys who make Warhammer Fantasy, Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, but we don't really talk about that one. Have released in the last little bit, in the last couple days, that Warhammer 40,000, the grim, dark tabletop strategy game of the far future, is getting its 10th edition, finally, and unreeling that. This one is from Gizmodo, written by James Whitbrook. And so it says, Warhammer 40,000 is stomping into a new edition with Space Marine, Space Aliens, and simpler rules. In the grim, dark future of Games Workshop 41st Millennium, there is only war. So it's a good job the 10th edition of its venerable tabletop miniatures game, Warhammer 40,000, is starting a whole new war for its incoming 10th edition rule set. Well, it's a fourth war in a long line of wars, but when you're called Warhammer, that's to be expected.
Yeah.
Revealed overnight at the massive wargaming convention Adepticon in Chicago last night, Games Workshop has a swath of updates for several of its key games, both the sci-fi 40K and its fantasy counterpart Warhammer Age of Sigmar, the smaller scale skirmish games in those universes, the Skill Team in Warhammer Underworlds, and the old school 40K prequel game Horus Heresy, crowned by the highly anticipated reveal of Warhammer 40,000's 10th edition, releasing this summer. And just like they did with 9th edition, they have a cool cinematic trailer of Rooty Gilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines, and Lord Regent of the Imperium, all just babble for people that don't know this stuff, talking about the grim dark future of the 41st millennium. But okay, quick here. Within the lore of 40K's universe, the 10th edition will begin in the wake of the current events of the rulebook series Arcs of Omen, which has seen several Space Marine chapters, the Orcs, the Alien Tau Empire, and the forces of the mysterious new agent of the Chaos Demons. This man spelled demon wrong, but that's okay. Vashtor, slugging it out in the Imperium Nihilus, a section of humanity's vast interstellar empire that was cut off from the rest of it during the events that opened the game's current 9th edition. Within that conflicts about the climax in one of the newly revealed books at the Adepticon, 10th edition sees the galaxy turn its eyes eastward, especially the leader of the iconic Ultramarine Space Marine chapter, Rooty Gilliman, after the swarming masses of the alien Tyranids, or the thought-defeated Hive Fleet Leviathan, launch a surprise attack on the other side of the Imperium, revealing that the largest ever Tyranid force is actually surrounding the entire galaxy, starting off humanity's fourth tyrannic war. So, with it, there's a new bunch of minis, there's a bunch of new box sets, that sort of stuff to make people get into the hobby. But in this case, they've updated a couple of Space Marine models that haven't been updated in a long time, like Terminators and stuff like that. But much to the happiness of my brother, even though we don't play this game anymore, but if you're watching or listening, you better look out, because there's a lot of new Tyranid models that we've been waiting for a long time, and they look pretty good. So, and the box set for this edition, basically the box set that has 2 starter armies so you can play the game right away, is Space Marine and Tyranid. So, would have been one that if my brother and I were still in the same country and we weren't lazy about Warhammer 40K, aka if I wasn't lazy about 40K, we'd probably get, because it has the armies that we both want. But anyway, kind of go on to the rule set. The last edition was kind of notorious for its rules, for being kind of bloated. Like, it had tons and tons of rules, and depending on what kind of faction, there'd be different rules, what kind of sub-faction, there'd be different rules. And what I've heard and read is that with this edition, they're trying to simplify it. Keep the depth of it, but kind of simplify the game flow, so to speak.
Probably to get new people invested into the hobby.
Exactly. And so, for example, every army's army specific rules are all in one sheet, and then all of a unit's specific rules are on unit cards that I think I've read that when you buy the new boxes, they come with the cards in them, stuff like that. So I'm trying to make it much more easier and much more simpler for people to learn on the fly, and so people to join in the hobby. But when I say stuff like this, it makes it sound like that this hobby hasn't been doing well, they need to change things, and it's actually the complete opposite. Because you want to hear something whack, fellas?
What's up?
Games Workshop is one of the most profitable, like by percentage-wise, profitable businesses in the entire United Kingdom.
I can believe it.
It is. It is astronomical. How far they've come in just even like a decade. Because I remember in a decade back where, around the time, like maybe Dawn of War 2 was kind of wrapping up, that sort of stuff. It's like, it was still kind of a niche game. Warhammer was still pretty niche. At that point, I would say that StarCraft was more popular. Now it's the opposite. I think 40K is much more popular than StarCraft is at all. So it's kind of neat. There's also a bunch of new lore stuff that got dropped for this edition that wasn't in the trailer that really caught me off guard. Because it's like, wait a minute, you mean this guy finally came back from his 10,000 year slumber and you're not going to put him in the trailer? What do you mean you're not going to put him in the trailer? But for the audiences out there, I'm talking about the Lionel Johnson, which is the Primarch of the Dark Angels chapter, former Legion. But if you don't know, this is all babble. So I'm going to stop talking about Warhammer and leave it up to you guys to see what you have to say.
So, prior to us recording, I actually spoken with another friend about this because, frankly, I know very little about 40K, and I wanted to get a little bit more information going in. What is the big deal about Lion-O, leader of the Thundercats? Like, why is he so important for him coming back?
I know in this episode, and I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, that I said I'm going to try and make this snappier. So I'm going to try and condense the 60 book series into a couple minutes. But basically, in Warhammer is set in the far future. It's set in the year 40,000, quite literally the 41st millennium. It's awful. Humanity has lost its ability to create new technology. It's constantly fighting.
There is only war.
Yeah, there's only war. They're fighting literal orcs. They're fighting literal space elves. They're fighting literal evil space elves. They're fighting literal evil humans called Chaos Space Marines that fight for the will of chaos gods, so evil gods, and things like that. Now, prior to the events that are happening right now in 40,000, 10,000 years prior, is what's called the Horus Heresy, which sets up basically the events for everything to happen in the next 10,000 years, culminating into what's happening now. And basically is that all Space Marines, so they are the big guys that you see in all the marketing, the big guys in power armor that everybody thinks are ripping off Gears of War or StarCraft, which is like, no, which makes me want to grab the microphone to choke him. But
calm down.
Anyways, they used to be into what's called legions, and there was 20 legions of these things, of these Space Marines, and each legion of Space Marine was basically like, there's this God Emperor of mankind who sits in his golden toilet. And basically, he's the giant sort of lighthouse for all of humanity to traverse through the warp. So in this universe, to go faster than light, you basically got to go to hell. You open a portal to hell, you go into it, and through the light of his divine grace, the immortal emperor, master of mankind, you get to see where you're going, and then you pop out the other side, hopefully fine. Sometimes you pop out several centuries later. Sometimes you pop out before you even left. That sort of stuff. So, anyway.
How often is sometimes?
Enough.
Ballpark figure.
But not very common. I don't know. I do not want to know what the bureaucratic pencil pusher at the administratum would do.
So when in the Super Mario show, when Mario said, if you do drugs, you go to hell before you die, he was really referring to warp travel, right?
Yeah, quite literally warp travel. You do go to hell before you die. But
Mario, no!
In this 10,000 years prior, all the Space Marines, they were all the good guys. Well, what you would call good guys in this universe, because nobody's the good guy.
Yeah.
And so the Emperor had 20 sons that were basically, they were like Space Marines, but Giga Space Marines, even bigger, smarter. Basically like aspects of him that he split off into 20 sons to make their own perfect little armies of Space Marine. For example, my favorite Primarch of this period is Magnus the Red, who's a Primarch of a legion of Space Marine known as the 1,000 Sons. And they're all about like knowledge and the pursuit of knowledge and like using their psychic abilities and stuff like that to, at that point, to expand the realm of humanity. Do it. They were one of the legions that fell to chaos through some very genuinely tragic events, and I'm just going to say to the people out there that know what I'm talking about, Magnus didn't do anything wrong. He was the good boy. It was a good boy, and he didn't do anything wrong in the end.
There's probably like one other person who's listening to this who knows what that means.
Yeah, there's a few. There's a few that listen to this, but yeah. But anyway. So, but now that they've unwittingly and basically, unfortunately, turned to evil, now they're like evil space sorcerers that use their knowledge, their pursuit of knowledge to do not evil stuff, but like their ambition has taken them to such a degree where it's like, yeah, I'll sacrifice these billion people on this planet so I could get this tome of knowledge so I can do sorceress stuff. And then there's other ones like the Jagatai Khan of the White Scars. And so this is a legion of basically Mongol motorbike riding space Mongols, basically. They ride their motorbikes, and their Primarch is basically Space Genghis Khan. And they ride their motorbikes and stuff like that, or their jet bikes. And that's one of my favorite loyalist legion. So this guy was a loyalist. And so what I mean by that is that this Horus Heresy, the best and brightest of the Emperor's son, Horus Lupercal, basically got tempted to chaos and said, screw you, Dad, I want the Empire now. And so half of the Space Marine legions sided with him and the forces of chaos, and the other 20 sided with the Emperor. And they're the loyalist Space Marines that still exist today. And those are the traitor legions that still exist today, basically. And so Lionel Johnson, or Lion-O, leader of the Thundercats.
Thank you.
He was the Primarch of one of these legions. And so after the events of this Horus Heresy, he basically got into a confrontation. His own chapter, or legion, got fractured in two by loyalists to him and loyalists to another guy that wanted to join Chaos. So in the fight, he got mortally wounded and basically had to be Sleeping Beauty for 10,000 years. And so after 10,000 years, he finally awoke. And that's a big deal because in this era of 40K, there are no leaders of the Imperium. There's no leaders. Imagine a country in a bureaucracy that has been in decay for 10,000 years. To us, it's unimaginable. But you have a galactic spanning, it's like, imagine, I don't know, the Galactic Empire from Star Wars stuck around for 10,000 years, but the Emperor died and it just slowly decayed and got worse and worse and worse. And they're fighting every kind of enemy in the galaxy. And that's basically what happens. So when you have, like, when Rooty came back he was the first loyalist Primarch to come back and help against the tide of chaos. This is basically like, it's one of the Emperor's own sons, like your actual deity. Your deity that everybody worships, which is ironic because in the period that the Emperor was still around and talking, he didn't want nobody to worship him. It was like an atheist empire. But anyway, when one of the Emperor's own sons comes back and he uses everything, his charisma, his knowledge, and his actual ability to single-handedly command the Imperium by himself, that's a big deal, and it brings it back around. Now the second loyal son to the Emperor, Lionel Johnson, the Lion, has come back from his slumber. And so now it's like, because on the Chaos end, there's been a few Chaos Primarchs that have also come back. So the first one was actually Magnus the Red, which is so cool for me. I was like, oh my god, look at this model I'm never going to buy. Look at this model I'm never going to buy, and if I bought it, I'm never going to paint because it'd be so painstaking. Then after that was Mortarion. Mortarion, who's the leader of the Death Guard, and his legion are all Death Marines, so they're all like decayed, pus-like filled space marines that like their bodies are all bloated and disgusting, and it's like pus and rotting and maggots and things like that. Like that's my second favorite Chaos Legion. They're great, okay. But Mortarion is the Primarch of that. He was the second Demon Primarch to come back. And he's got a cool mono as well that I'm going to buy and paint. And then very recently, the third Demon Primarch from Angron, which is like a guy who's angry all the time. Oh, wow. Angron, yeah.
So clever.
He's the he's the Primarch of the World Eaters, which were a legion that are dedicated now to Khorne, the chaos god of blood and war. So like gotcha. the quintessential goofy stereotypical like blood for the blood god, skulls for the skull throne. That's like those are those people. Those are those
and milk
people.
For the cornflakes. You forgot that.
Yeah, and milk for the cornflakes. Yes. And those are those people. Those are those people. They're like
I know my history.
They're like those kind of people, and they're over there. They're playing their little playpen. I'm the kind of guy. My guys, they like to read books. They're goofy little nerds, and they'll kill a billion people to get some more books. But in a very simplified way, because the lore is so incredibly deep. There is genuinely, I think it's 60 books in the Horus Heresy. That you don't have to read them all, but I've read probably maybe two-thirds or three-quarters of it. And so there's a lot of story to go around. And that's only for this one period. This is for setting up how everything got so screwed up. So now we're in this part of the universe where the consequences of that era have culminated, and now the ghosts of that era are starting to come back for basically the big scrap, the big showdown. But anyway, Andrew, I hope that satisfied you enough. I know it probably didn't because there's so much more to it.
Now, Professor, will any of this be on the test next week?
No, it should be. It should be part of the curriculum. It's like, how much 40k lore do you know? Not a lot. And I was like, well, you're gonna have problems. But anyway, Mike, what do you got to say?
Honestly, I'm just more excited for more fan art and videos. Those keep me sustained in the Warhammer culture.
He's got absolutely. A thing for fan art and probably fan fiction as well.
Wow, the Astartes miniseries was absolutely fantastic.
Okay, no, that's fair. You got me there. You got me there.
And and the games that are coming out, they've been really, really good with games lately. Like in my last to show my top 10 from last year, there were 2 Warhammer games in there that did really, really well. So they've been doing incredibly well with those games. This year, Space Marine's coming out, or Space Marine 2, which is a sequel to a great third-person shooter hack-and-slash game that came out a while ago.
I have some experience with that game. It was quite fun. So.
And Andrew, he lets off a little bit less than he really knows, because Andrew and I, we play through a little bit of Dawn of War 2, but that is in and of itself such a small slice of Warhammer 40k.
Yeah.
But that's what I like about Warhammer, is that like it takes a little bit of investing to get into to kind of get the whole setting in your head and understand what's going on. But after that, then you just get to pick and choose what you like. Do you like the Space Marine? It's like, okay, you like Loyalist Space Marines, then there's a bajillion chapters of Space Marines, and there's like 10 different legions that they're spawned from that, and because this is a tabletop game where you paint miniatures, the whole appeal of it is that you make your own Space Marine chapter. So it's like it's like the Flying Falchions or whatever, and they're my own custom chapter of Descendant from the White Scars. Or there's like a descendant of the Blood Angels, which is one of my favorite Loyalist chapters. That's called like
that's fair.
The Angels Penitent, and they're like hardcore and bad and kind of maybe evil, maybe not. There's a darkness at the center of them that they don't want to reveal. Like lots of cool little stories like that you can either read into or be a part of or choose whatever, or you could choose something different. You could be the space elves, you could be the literal orcs that are goofy. Yeah, you could be, if you like mecha, you could be the Tau, where they have basically like their own little robot suits that are pretty cool. Or if you're the bad guy, you could be Chaos. And there's tons of Chaos Legions that are all cool. Do you like, I don't know, like Roid Rage evil people? Then you'll probably like the Cornflake Berserkers.
Cornflake Berserkers.
Or you like me, where you're a disgusting fat slob and you like maggots and dead rotting stuff, then yeah, you're gonna like the Death Guard. And do you like nerd stuff and that's, yeah, you'll like the Thousand Suns. Do you like sex, drugs, and rock and roll and murder? Then you'll probably like the Emperor's Children that follow Slanesh. So like, there's a thing for everybody in Warhammer, and that's kind of what's really neat about it. Because there's not, by the very virtue that it is a tabletop game, and because you have a tabletop game, there's so many different factions, it has this kind of widespread universe where you could just pick whatever you want. To me, it's exciting, yeah, that more and more people will get to know Warhammer, but at the same time, you got to do a little bit of gatekeeping, because you want to have, I'm just saying, you want to have the right people join your hobby. You don't want...
Oh my gosh, Tom, I can't believe you.
You don't want those people, and I'm not going to specify who those people are, but just say that I put asterisks on those people.
Well, it's about to get a lot more exposure with, from what I understand, a new Henry Cavill movie or show coming out.
Yeah, they're really making big pushes to get more people into it. And if I recall correctly, I'd heard that they're making a lot of these sources now available as digital formats, like in PDFs. You can have PDF rules instead of having the physical hard copies, which have always been really expensive and probably one of the main things why people haven't gotten into the hobby, apart from buying a bazillion different plastic things to paint.
Exactly. Well, that was the main way that a lot of my friends and I have been playing Edge of the Empire. Mostly just through PDF formats.
Yeah. This is, for the audience out there, this is a Star Wars RPG, not a Warhammer one, but yeah. No, it's like, yeah, there's no shame in that. There's no shame. Like, there's a famous photo from the Iraq War in the 90s of like a bunch of guys literally using like coins and little pieces of like popcorn or different things to simulate a Warhammer 40k battle. And in their hand, nice. they got like White Dwarf or something from the 90s, like in their hand. And it's amazing. Like in the middle, it's in the middle of the Iraq War, of the Gulf War, sorry, my excuse. Or it might have been in the 2003 Iraq invasion, whatever, one of those wars. But
one of those.
It's just a bunch of goons playing Warhammer 40k in the desert. But you use whatever you can, and yeah, there's no shame in it. There's no shame in it.
Surprised Gears. I'm surprised they weren't sued by Games Workshop.
They weren't sued by Games Workshop for the same reason that Games Workshop tried to sue Blizzard and failed. When Blizzard made StarCraft, which is so obviously Warhammer, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
Like, just actual, like, StarCraft's a lactose intolerant kid trying to parrot his dribble as milk. That's what it is, okay?
It's literally the whole, can I copy off of you? Yeah, sure, but make sure you change it so we don't get caught. Then they change,
and they got caught anyways.
Nothing. Yeah, exactly.
And so, in that case, it was, as I understand it, Games Workshop basically couldn't pursue that line because what they were suing for is that this IP you're saying is too close to your tabletop game. Well, that's a tabletop game. This is a computer game.
No. So that technicality.
So you can't sue this.
Of course.
So, and it's funny because if I recall, Blizzard tried to do the same thing in reverse, where when Dawn of War came out, the first Dawn of War for PC, which is a PC real-time strategy game, Blizzard tried to sue Games Workshop for saying, well, these guys in this Dawn of War game are really, really close to our StarCraft guys. And then it basically would have, through the lawyerese, it basically would have been that, oh, well, if you sue for this, then we can sue you for that original thing from way back when StarCraft came out. and you'd have to pay for damages over the course of like a decade type of stuff.
The gotcha moment.
So that type of thing. And then the same thing with Gears of War, but Gears of War to me is it's different enough that there'd be no sense in it's the same thing with when Space Marine came out and people were saying that game was a Gears of War copy. Epic Games in the day, I'm pretty sure they said, no, if anything, we took inspiration from Warhammer. Like they're their own thing. Go play that game. But
nice of them.
People will be people, and they're gonna go, wow, it's a copy. It's me. But
yeah,
that's that's basically all I got to say for it. I think it's interesting, exciting, and curious to see where it goes from here, especially in the lore. It's gonna be more audiobooks and crap for me to listen to.
Of course.
So we'll see where it is. I don't know. Do you guys have any closing remarks?
Going back to the whole models thing, I'd heard that they're making updates. You said they were making updates to the Terminators, which, as I understand, are somehow smaller than those Primaris Marines, which, despite the fact they're supposed to be the biggest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's supposed to be like way bigger armor, huge, like they tower over the already towering Marines. And then the cute. Then it's like, oh, that model's kind of cute. Okay. It's like the old Space Marine models, like the pre-Primaris models. It's like, oh my god, look at him. Look at him, a little cute.
He's so adorable.
Ain't that a cute little thing?
Yeah, that's right.
I just need my Titan ASMR and I'll be fine.
Yeah, he needs his Titan princeps to tell him not to do that. But another thing that nobody's going to understand. But anyway, I'm hitting the gavel. I'm hitting my spoon gavel on this one. On to the next thing.
Next order of business.
Next order of business in the Tom house. On to our next set of news. Paradox Interactive, which is a storied publisher, I'll say, from Sweden, had their announcement show about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks back, and they announced a whole slew of new things. So in this announcement, they showed off City Skyline 2, which is a sort of SimCity-like city builder simulation game.
Sort of. That's
I don't play that game. So Crusader Kings 3, they announced some expansions for that.
Yes, they did.
They announced an expansion for Europa Universalis 4, which is a very it's a map painting. It's a map painting game, okay, fellas? It's a map painting game. You're painting on a map. And then
Paradox games are always map painting games, even though they deny it.
Yeah, exactly. And then Stellaris, which is another map painting game of theirs, but it's it's in space this time. So instead of being horrendously like instead of ethnic cleansing various different groups and Europa Universalis, now you're just doing it to aliens, which means it's okay.
Yep. This is true. This is objectively true.
Yeah.
The most but there's two announcements that are very interesting for both two people in this panel, and they're two different games, but I'll start with mine kind of very shortly. They announced a game called the Lamplighters League, which is this. Yeah, okay, then Andrew and I aren't into this. It's this like it's from the.
I know. Yeah.
It's from the guys who developed the Shadowrun games that came out a couple years back, and more importantly, BattleTech.
I was about to say, like, you're not going to talk about their more important title. Jeez, Tom.
And I love BattleTech. Like, that game was great. If you look at the top 10 games from that year, like, I'm literally holding a box of the BattleTech set. But anyways. And so it's a turn-based strategy game from those people that's, like, set in an alternate 1933 pulp adventure where there's, like, magic and evil and things like that. So it's like, imagine like a turn-based strategy Indiana Jones where you're fighting against the occult and things like that, but you're not the good guys. You're the trash that's still left behind trying to fix the mess, which is basically the premise for that. And so I think I saw the trailer for it and the a little bit of gameplay, and I thought like, oh man, this is right up my alley. So what do you got to say, Andrew, for that?
what are we? Some kind of Lamplighters League 2023?
Is that game coming out this year?
I think it might be next year, actually.
Oh my!
But yeah, no. For those who are unaware of like how turn-based strategy games work, like a good example would be like XCOM. You know, with the more tactical-based, going to cover, controlling a squad of goobers to take out in those games aliens, but in this case it'd be probably like Nazis, because of course it's the 30s, taking from Indiana Jones and that whole pulp fiction era.
Yeah,
so it's gotta be Nazis.
I love that stuff.
It's so good.
It's like all the Nazis found. They found like the dark sun that connects them to Agartha and the other evil universe, and I'm like, yeah, that stuff's great.
Yeah,
that stuff's great. I love that. I love that nonsense.
There's just something so fun about pulp adventures from that era. I don't know what it is, and you can't scoff at the stylized art style either. Like it's
no, that's completely fine by me.
So
like it looks good to me.
Fun.
I don't know, Mike. Have you heard of this stuff?
Not really. No, I'm not one for turn-based RPG.
No, okay. That's okay. So in this case, you're unapologetic. You didn't do your homework, but that's okay.
With Lamplighters League?
Yeah, that's okay. Don't worry about it.
The Lamplighters League is not really like City Skyline and Surviving the Aftermath is kind of like my home. I'm more like resource management, city builders.
So we got a few other things to talk about. That's good.
Yeah, those are more like Europa Universalis and all that, like the kind of strategy, long con kind of games. Those are your guys' domain.
We don't talk about those games anymore.
No, you don't.
Yeah, totally don't talk about those games anymore.
I don't.
Of course.
I don't. I'm a reformed addict. I'm a reformed addict.
Hide my room all of a sudden. Oh boy.
I don't play those damn games anymore because I know how damaging they are to time, and the kind of evil person I get playing them, and I don't like doing that.
They call it anonymous, but you got to give your name.
Yeah.
We forgive you, Tom.
I
played Risk enough with you to know that you are a backstabbing son of a bitch.
Oh, yeah. That's like, it's the same with other friends that we're gonna play a strategy game, and it's like, oh, is Tom gonna play? That's always the question that people ask, because it's not just even that I'm good at strategy games. It's that I turn into a nasty evil, like the Italian Machiavellian part comes out.
Yeah.
The evil part comes out, where it's like, you're not just gonna lose, you're gonna lose in the most embarrassing way, and everybody's gonna see it happen, and I'm gonna orchestrate your downfall. Orchestrate your downfall. And some people apparently don't like it when that happens to them, so when they play a game like that, they always ask if Tom's gonna play as well. So yeah.
Their loss.
Yeah. So in that case, if I'm going to play a strategy game, and personally, I kind of like it better this way anyways, I like to do more cooperative strategy games. Like Andrew and I playing through Dawn of War 2.
Oh, that's fair.
In co-op, that's more fun. Or even games like, Eldritch Horror is a great example.
Oh, yes.
That's one where like everybody's helping each other
game.
out. That's a great game. It is a great game, but that's a RPG sort of strategy-ish kind of game where you're all trying to help each other out to stop the eldritch beings from taking over reality. So
yeah,
but
well, that's never really been my domain. I tried Company of Heroes not too long ago out of your library, and I mean, interesting game, but I just couldn't.
I told you. I told you.
Yeah, so I'm not too intrigued on what City Skyline's going to be. City Skyline's probably just going to be updated graphics, but I'll probably check out the Survive the Aftermath expansion.
And then kind of more importantly, I know for Andrew especially, our resident Sims guy, Paradox is making their play, and they announced a game called Life by You, which I will not say is a Sims ripoff. Because I think, I think it's kind of cruel and mean. Because just from what little I've seen, this seems to be so much more customizable than The Sims. But granted, I haven't played Sims since like Sims 2 Pets. Like, so it's like...
So it's been some time for you, hasn't it?
It's been some time, and it's one of those where it's like, yeah, I think this game is more customizable, and I could hit a brick wall, like, looking like a fool. So I personally don't know. So that's up to you, Andrew, to explain to me and the audience what you look forward to in Life by You.
Sure. No, you're absolutely correct in that it is a lot more customizable, at least from what we've seen so far, because they're saying that they've so far said that you can essentially just create new objects with their built-in creator, new quest lines, whatever that looks like, new careers, a whole bunch of stuff, and you can apparently like edit the town essentially on the fly by just dragging and dropping lots. So as far as customization, excuse me, yeah, they are trying to make it even more customizable than The Sims, which has been kind of the king of these life sims for a hot minute. Now, something I'm not really a huge fan of is kind of their design philosophy, or sort of their art style, because they're trying to go for more a lifelike feel to it, which is just frankly not appealing, because it's entering into that uncanny valley, whereas The Sims, which is more stylized, is infinitely more appealing, and they can express a lot more even cartoonish emotions in a way that real people simply can't, and it's more fun that way and more appealing to me. So while yes, they do seem to be trying to one up The Sims with all this customization and having it be open world, which whatever. I guess time will tell whether or not they can truly deliver. One thing that also did kind of perk my interest was you can switch between different characters seamlessly, and how you can essentially control one person with like a controller, similar to how you would have done in the Sims Adventure titles back in the day. So that's kind of neat, but again, yeah, time will tell whether or not they can really dethrone EA and Maxis from the current kings of life sims.
Yeah, it's personally, from the way I see it, is that they're going to try and enter that sort of market. One, there's not really anybody else that I know doing something like The Sims. So there is ripe opportunity to do something similar to it. And if I was to do it myself, I'd basically kind of do it this way, where the philosophy wouldn't be, here's the game and here's an endless million other expansions that add on to it. It's, here's the tools for you to do it yourself, and hope that through that and the community, they create every kind of mod thing or whatever that you want to do, so it could be like that. Like I could see, because I see the visual art style, I'm like, man, this is doo-doo. It's like, but it's early access, bro. It's early access. I'm like, early access to what? The toilet? Like, it don't look that. It don't look that. It look like doo doo.
Yeah, this ain't it, Chief.
But if it's as customizable as they say it is, then there's a good chance that you could customize the appearance of people and make it look more cartoonish, or make them. You can make them anime, or you can make them whatever the hell you want to. At least that's kind of the vibe that I'm getting from this sort of game. I'm curious to see how it will develop in the future. There is one huge caveat to it, and this is something that Andrew and I both know all too well. And that's EA runs their own Sims racket, and it's a pretty good racket. It makes a lot of money. Paradox Games runs their own racket that also runs really well. Their map painting racket is nasty. You create a game that's half complete, and then you go, you know what? We're going to sell all these dorks, these history nerds. We're going to sell them every single fix of this game. All along the way, we're going to make them pay full price for it too. And it's going to be nasty. Oh, by the way, we're going to break your game in some of these expansions and then sell you another expansion that will fix it. Like that sort of stuff. Yep. And so there is a nasty quality that it can lead there. Because if there's anybody that could create the same level of DLC racket that The Sims could from EA, it's definitely Paradox. So.
Oh, 100%.
What? Anyway, Mike, what do you think?
Sadly, yes. No, sadly, I agree with you. Like, I've been looking through their Steam page for Life by You while we've been going over this, and yeah, it just looks like someone said take GTA models and put sim mechanics involved.
Not just any GTA models, but those new GTA remaster models for like San Andreas and crap like that. So it's so it's so ugly. Ugh.
Yeah, it's I mean, some of these character models in like the presentation aren't bad, but in the video it was uncanny valley, as you were saying. It's not. EA is gonna stay on top for a few more years. I don't see Paradox getting anywhere close to their level of racketeering.
One thing I've started to notice and also explain to people is that you don't have to directly compete with a product. I think gaming is so big now that I think this game could do, if it's a good game, it will do well on its own. It doesn't need to directly compete with The Sims, because The Sims, their market's also way bigger too, because it doesn't just appeal to people like us, it also appeals to a more casual audience.
Yeah, no, I got some family members who would absolutely be willing to dive into this game if they got the opportunity.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just up to them. They market it well, and they grab people by the cojones. Then they could get their money out of them. They could do a Corleone racket on them.
You could tell that I remember what I watched another kind of quote unquote deep dive of Life by You, and you could tell that the guy developing it, like, they're very passionate for the project. So I suppose that was kind of good to see.
Yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, no, those are my 2 cents for Life by You. I think there might be another life sim also on the way by a different company, but I haven't seen too much about that one.
I don't research it, so I don't know. But anyways, fellas, we done with this topic here? I say so. Yeah. We're on to the next topic. We're blasting.
Gavel banged.
We're blasting. Anyway, it started blasting.
Rockets blasting off again.
Next one, and not the final one, but one of the final parts of our news, is recently at GDC, which is the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco, the Epic was there unveiling a bunch of cool stuff, a bunch of stuff with the Unreal 5 engine. And so this is this is from, and I apologize for the audience, this is from Kotaku. So it is what it is. I couldn't find anything else really, but anyway, we're part of the games media, so we're just gonna be nice. We're gonna be nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically Epic unveiled, basically showed off their engine. They said, this is the Unreal 5 engine, this could do a bunch of stuff, and blah blah blah, and showed off a bunch of different games for it. They showed off a tech demo where they're driving a truck through the rainforest. That's like, wow, this looks really pretty. Wonderful. They showed off, they're bringing Unreal 5 into Fortnite. So now Fortnite looks,
of course,
incredible. It looks really nice. It's like, oh, look at ray tracing. Look at all this. Tom don't give a damn. He's going to crank the graphics down anyway so he could, so he could see better. But the two games that they showcased that are of interest to me is one was Hellblade 2, which is a sequel to the first Hellblade, which is Senua's something. I forget. Basically, it's like
a sacrifice,
something like that. But Senua's Sacrifice, I think. But basically, it's a lady from the Nordic countries in the Middle Ages or the Viking Age, one of the two. I forget. I think it's the Viking Age. That is basically.
I think so. It certainly has that look to it.
Yeah, she went cuckoo. Okay, she's cuckoo and she's got mental problems. And I haven't played the first one, but I'll probably play it once this game starts coming around. But basically, it deals with mental illnesses and like either dementia or schizophrenia in a very enlightening and interesting way. So that's kind of interesting. But it has this latest one that's been in development for a little while has very kind of photorealistic looking graphics, that sort of thing. And so they unveiled with this one that it is is kind of like the incredible facial animation capabilities using MetaHuman, which is a different sort of if I recall, I don't know fully, so I might be talking out of my butt here, folks, but MetaHuman, I think it's a way to put like textures and bake them on into models and have them seamlessly like talk and lip sync and stuff like that. So when you scan a face and they're talking, it has the algorithms in place to make it work in game quite as well. Basically, I think it's just direct collaboration and working with the tool set provided in the Unreal Engine, and that's what they showed off there. And then the other game that they showed off, which I will say it's like it does look nice. It does look very nice. Is a RPG called Lords of the Fallen, which is like a soft reboot sequel of the same name. So like the previous game was called Lords of the Fallen. This is just Lords of the Fallen 2023 or 2024, I guess. But this one, it has a lot of like, it shows like different, a sort of gothic sort of cathedral. Like think of the Duomo in Milano or thing like that. A very gothic architecture. And to its credit, it looks incredible. It has like, I live in Italy, so I see gothic architecture all the damn time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, every time I see it, I'm always impressed because it's like, wow, this is incredible, beautiful. And then in this game, it's like the closest it is to like that level of detail in Gothic cathedrals in this like technical showcase. So that really impressed me. And usually I'm kind of cynical when it comes to graphics. I'm very like, it's like, yeah, it's pretty, but how does the game play? Does the gameplay good? Or you could have a game that is a technical marvel, and then a game like Legend of Zelda Wind Waker will come out from the corner. And it's like, yeah, I like this little fella better, though. This little fella puts a smile on.
Oh my gosh.
But still, like, in its own way, a gorgeous game.
Oh, for sure.
In the sense that, like, Ghibli is gorgeous in its own right. And, like, it's just a different art style. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and thank you for saying Ghibli correctly.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and that leads us to the first topic finally. But we've been talking about a bunch of stuff. So anyway, first topic I have here is, why do all these Unreal 5 engine games feel so underwhelming and empty? And this was a topic that was put forward by Mike, and so I'm gonna leave it to you to explain and go right ahead.
Well, a big one was probably like, have you guys seen anything about the Forsaken?
Foreskin, yeah.
Foreskin,
yes, there's been a lot of talk about that.
Like, it seems more and more that these open world games have, well, very beautiful, have very little to show for it. They're just incredibly empty and devoid of life. And whether it's just so technically demanding that it just can't keep up or what, but it's making me a little concerned because we've got some up and coming Unreal Engine 5 games that I'm excited for, like the new Stalker game is supposed to be on Unreal Engine 5, and if open world games just can't really keep up with this, then what does that mean for probably one of the more innovative open world game survivals out there? Like, it's gonna, I hope it doesn't leave a sour taste in my mouth, but I have a sad feeling that might be where it's going.
Andrew, you got something to say here?
Well, the only thing I can think in response to Mike's concern is that at the end of the day, the engine is simply a tool, and a tool is only as good as the people. That's basically what I'm going to get into. Yeah, it's only as good as the people using it. So if the people using it are not competent, and frankly, it's still fairly new, so there's probably still a lot of kinks to figure out. But like, if the people working it aren't competent or enough, then you're right. The stuff that's going to come out is going to be, well, crap, and that's just something that we're going to have to deal with for some time until people, kind of know how these things work.
Well, to be fair, not a lot of games have really started adopting Unreal Engine 5. A lot of them are still like adopting it, but they haven't been released yet. I think the latest one the biggest like news that I saw was Fortnite, which isn't that technically demanding of a game, despite being as open as it is, integrated it. And don't get me wrong, it looks amazing. Like they had walls getting shattered, and I think it kind of amplifies the gameplay because now that light kind of flooding into a room, you understand like, oh, something has been destroyed. There, like light has just flooded this room, so someone else is here. It adds that level of immersion and like tactical awareness, which I think is really pretty cool. So integrated well, yeah. Unreal Engine 5 has its huge perks. Like seeing some of the tech demos, like the most recent one where they showcase like a Rivian car or whatever driving through like a little canyon. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah, they're going through the jungle.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're taking a little Rivian truck through the jungle.
If you watch that and you go through it, there's this scene in there where they're turning the color of the vehicle like this opalescent paint and zooming into it, and it looks fantastic. Oh my god, it looks so realistic. It's insane. So I'm hopeful. Like this is going to be a huge leap, but at the same time, like you said, if people don't know how to use this tool, then I think the first few years of these Unreal Engine 5 generation of games are going to be a little lackluster and wanting.
Yeah, and as I was saying, with Andrew, I basically the same opinion, is that if you build a house and the house sucks, you don't really blame the hammer. You blame the designer, right? And
exactly.
So that's the thing. It's a game engine, and it is how you apply the engine and how you build for it that does do it. I think a lot of the issues, for example, in like Foreskin, aka Forspoken, that we're never gonna let that game down. But that game was flawed on every end, and it was also a Square Enix title, which is flawed in its own way, and that's a big topic for another day. But it's that game was flawed from the get-go, and if you don't treat the engine right, and you don't know what you're going into it, it doesn't matter what engine. If you don't have a clear plan or vision gameplay-wise and how to implement that in design, it doesn't matter what engine it is, you're going to have problems developing it, and it's going to feel empty and kind of and sparse and stuff like that. But there are a few games coming out in the Unreal 5 engine. I haven't played with Unreal 5. I've played it and tinkered around with Unreal 3 and 4 a little bit, and the difference between 3 and 4 they're big but kind of negligible, and a lot of Epic also, apparently from people I know that develop with the Unreal 4 engine, have told me that Epic's like really, really good at bringing support and helping out people with the engine. And so much so, and the engine's so prolific that my buddy was telling me that you could literally just Google sometimes your solutions to the problem that you're having and usually find your solution or find something similar enough that you can, write up code or do something, whatever you want with the game to solve your problem. And that in and of itself is, in the game development sense, is kind of indispensable. But it harkens back to, if you didn't have that set up in development, if you don't have good designers who know what they're doing, what kind of plans are they doing, what kind of programming they want to do, then you're going to hit the brick wall that it doesn't matter what engine it is, you're going to have issues. And so...
I have a little caveat to that, because as you said, the intuitiveness is so nice that almost anyone can start using it, and I agree that's fantastic. Getting more people into the industry is essential for talent to start growing, blossoming. However, we had that kind of I guess I shouldn't say it's the exact same thing, but sort of with Andromeda, where it's people who showed a bit of talent were thrown into positions that they shouldn't have, and
Andromeda was completely a management thing.
Yeah.
And that was basically management from the kind of people that EA hired to the kind of people that EA hired and put in positions And then different questionable things that EA did as well, such as, oh no, you're gonna restart this game several times, and then you have to use the Frostbite 2 engine, which has none of these RPG things built into it, and causing a lot of problems. Even though the original Mass Effect games were built on Unreal 3, and then
all those other problems aside, my big issue is like people that we know that had very little expertise, that were thrust into like leadership positions apparently, or positions of like coding and designing like character models, or was it not really character models? I guess it's like the animations and all that. When all they had experience was like designing models itself, not the actual animation. So people that were thrown into jobs that they really shouldn't have, and I'm wondering if it being more intuitive, situations like that might occur more, but also will be more alleviated by the fact that, hey, it's super easy, you can just Google it.
I don't think so. I think I'm gonna be real. I think the two are kind of irrelevant. It's one's a management issue. It has nothing to do with the engine itself, and even having its ease and easeability, it's sometimes when it is so simple like that, it might even be harder for you to fake your credentials on an engine like Unreal or like Unity, where it's like, oh, you say you're this kind of person, or they want to put you in this thing. It'll be very clear immediately whether or not you actually know what you're doing, because somebody who might have some actual experience in that might be able to go in and go, oh, yeah, I can do this. I could do like a set up an animation rig or something like that. And somebody who's never set up an animation rig before might not be able to. But those are one's a management thing and the other one's just the engine. So, but that's kind of my 2 cents on the Unreal 5 thing. It's just a tool, and we'll see. I guess it's also one of those things too where we don't really know until games are done and completed and out and all the problems come up, and then we hear all the horror stories of game development, that we figure out how much of the engine played trouble to it, so to speak. But to kind of touch up on a little bit on, these games look really nice, but they're kind of big and empty. That's kind of the creep of basically games looking as nice as they do and as photorealistic as they do, where you gotta set a legion of people just for art assets and stuff like that, with no real vision to what you want to do with the art assets. Like Forspoken's such an interesting like little case study, because it's a game on Unreal 5. It looks really nice, but then in some other areas it just looks terrible. Looks like trash.
Yeah.
And it runs like trash too, apparently. Where like the system requirements for it, where it's like, oh, you need like an RTX 4 series card to run the minimum specs. It's like, are you nuts? Are you on crack? Well, whoever wrote it was on crack. But
hopefully shit like that gets cheaper. As it does, I'm definitely snagging one up.
What, Forspoken? Yeah.
No, God, no. Oh,
it's
God,
already,
no.
It's already 33% off.
Oh, of course it is. Why am I not surprised? No, I'm freaking a 40 series graphics card.
Oh, yeah, good luck with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck with that. But, I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to say?
How many games use the Unreal Engine 5 today?
I don't know.
There's only a handful, I think.
Yeah, the vast majority of them are in development, active development right now, so...
Yeah. Forspoken was one of like the main ones to come out. That's why there was so much hype around it. It's like, oh, it's one of the first Unreal games out there. Mm-hmm. Let's take a look.
Like the other Unreal 5 game that I know of is Callisto Protocol. And so like, yeah, that's kind of really all I know now, at least anyways, for games that use the Unreal 5 engine. But tons and tons of them I know that are being developed with it in mind. So
we're still like very, very early, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's only just started being used.
Yeah, I think this year we'll start to see quite a bit more games use the Unreal Engine. And then I don't know if Atomic Heart used Unreal 4 or 5. That might be another Unreal game, or it might be its own engine. I don't know. I'll have to not to take a gander at that. But we good with this topic, folks?
Yeah, all I'll say is I think we're going to get some good-looking games, but I don't know if we're going to get good games.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you know, the looks of it is entirely based upon how competent your art team is, really. So
yeah, it's got nothing to do with the other design, unless your vision, your visual vision, your aesthetical vision is directly tied to the gameplay design, which is the case for a game like a Hi-Fi Rush that I talked about.
Oh, that's very good. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's one where
you all should watch his video on that in case you haven't seen it already. Yeah, here's my plug.
Yeah, there we go. Well done. Yeah, no, that video's out and you should have seen it by now. And if you didn't, well, shame on you. You're gonna be you'll be punished in the coming age, yada yada, so on and so forth. But anyway, I think to head on to our next, the final piece of news that we have for today, which is finally, we are heading into the period of time where Tom, if you know me in real life, Tom is going to become insufferable with Todd Apologism, because we have a release date for Starfield, and Starfield is coming on September 6th, 2023. And so this is an article by PC Gamer, written by Tyler Wilde, but Starfield is coming in September. Bethesda has finally officially revealed that its sci-fi RPG epic will launch on September 6th. For a game that was originally supposed to release last year, we haven't seen a whole lot of the space RPG Starfield. Best look we got is an edited 15-minute gameplay trailer from last year, but now following the delay out of 2022, we finally have an official launch date of September 26th. Quote unquote, we have poured ourselves into this game, and even I'm surprised at how much we can pour. It is large. Bethesda's Todd Howard said in the announcement video, "We're playing the game all the time. Shout out over here to lead producer Tim Lamb. Old school fans, you may remember him from a making of Oblivion video, where he's sitting on a similar sofa doing similar things," end quote. The new date is a bit of a delay, as Starfield was previously expected to be out within the first half of 2023. What we'll get instead in that time frame is a Starfield Direct presentation, which Howard said will deliver a deep dive into the game on June 11th. "There's so much that we have to show you still," he said. "The game has many of the hallmarks you'd expect from us, but it's also a very unique experience. It's a little more of a wait than we expected, but what's another few months at this point? Starfield was first teased around 5 years ago, and active development started all the way back when Fallout 4 released in 2015, according to a 2018 interview. And quote in brackets, at this rate, I'll figure we'll be playing the Elder Scrolls 6 sometime around 2031. Yeah, probably, sadly.
Oh boy. Oh, jeez.
It is, yeah, we finally got a release date for this giant Bethesda game that's incredibly big, incredibly ambitious, all the wonderful, beautiful Todd buzzwords that people take out of context and don't understand. But what I really kind of wanted to talk about, though, is that there has been, not everybody's this way, of course, but there's been like a lot of pushback and a lot of people complaining that, oh, it got delayed again. And I'm just sitting here and it's like, you people, gamers, and I mean gamers as the worst slur that I can right now, with a capital G, right. GG, GG gamers, yeah, royal you, yeah. They want to have their cake and eat it too, just like everybody in the universe. They want to have their cake and eat it too. And so they want games that are polished and beautiful and wonderful, and they want them released in a succinct time. And because of the nature of modern game development, that's becoming increasingly harder to do. But it's kind of wild to me because a lot of people got upset that when Starfield got showed off last year at Xbox's sort of summer showcase, Xbox had this self-binding sort of statement saying all the games showing off here are coming within the next 12 months. It was kind of a silly statement, a kind of bad statement, because then, yeah, you get people to expect, okay, between June now and June next year, this is all the games that are going to release. And so that wasn't a statement by Bethesda. Bethesda didn't say that they were going to release their game in this time frame. That was kind of an Xbox thing. But
yeah,
on top of that, more importantly, it's this game, like, it's a big game, obviously, and it needs a little bit more time in the pipeline is not a bad thing for me. I think, like, even I've read in other interviews that the game could have come out in September of last year in 2022, or November of last year in 2022, but they said, no, we want to delay it so we can give you the best experience out there. And it would be, in my opinion, wise of Xbox to, delay it to when Bethesda thinks it's ready to go out, because even though we don't really talk about it this much in this program, I do talk it with a couple other of my friends that are kind of in the Xbox sort of ecosystem, that, like, this is kind of, to me, this is quite arguably probably Xbox's most important exclusive maybe ever in the longest time. This is going to be one of those games, one of those exclusives that, like, this game isn't coming out on PS5. This game's not coming out on Switch. As you want to play this game, you play it on PC or you play it on Xbox. And it's also a day one Game Pass game. So this is one of those games that, like, if it hits like Oblivion did, if it hits like Skyrim did, if it hits like Fallout 3 did, if it hits even to a lesser extent like Fallout 4 did, this will be a game that will skyrocket the amount of Game Pass subscriptions, which is, I think, is what Xbox is gambling here. And so it's I think people kind of being upset that it's delayed for that little bit more, hot off the heels of complaining that Cyberpunk 2077 was a disaster on launch, which, truthfully so, it was a disaster on launch. But then again, those same kind of people kind of instantly forgave it when Trigger came out with a shitty anime about it. And so,
I mean, it was a really good anime.
It was not a good anime.
It was okay.
It was trash. As far as Cyberpunk, not even the genre, but Cyberpunk as in the genre, I guess, so to speak. It was not a good Cyberpunk story. Just like how the Cyberpunk story in Cyberpunk 2077 was not a good Cyberpunk story. But
to be fair, I don't really know what a good Cyberpunk story is.
Not one where you meet the god of this world and he lives inside your brain and he says, "Man, I love my 12-inch cock." Like, that's not a good Cyberpunk story.
If I want your body, I'll fuck it.
That's right. Exactly. Like, that's not a good Cyberpunk story. And as far as the anime is concerned, now full disclosure, I didn't watch it because I was so bored that I dropped it. When your anime's main point, at least in the beginning, I don't know if the theme of it changes later on, I don't care either. When it's like, man, this corporatism's really bad. These rich people got served by the trauma team, but my mom didn't. My mom died.
Oh, daring today, aren't we?
And it's like, yeah, exactly. And it's like, whoa, daring today, aren't we? Yeah, exactly. Like, it's like, oh, corporatism and the failings of corporatism and how nasty it could be in a cyberpunk setting and how much money is important and how little life is valued in a cyberpunk setting over money. It's like, wow, oh, gee, you're telling me this for the very first time. Like, that's my problem with that anime, is that it's just like, wow, really? This is the story you want to tell me? This kind of dime a dozen story that's been done better in other things, to be honest. And the thing is that people like that anime because it's anime, and people will eat up anything that comes from the land of the rising sun.
Yeah.
Two, because it's flashy.
Yeah.
Trigger.
Two. Yeah, it was a Trigger thing, so it was extra flashy, so extra things to eat up. Had, I don't know, funny little lolly girl, and then that was about it. And so it's a lazy, legitimate, actual, like, cash grab adaptation for a game that failed, and you ate it up. You, the audience, and I'm speaking to all of you, and I'm pointing all my fingers. If this was a stage, I'm pointing at all of you everywhere. You all ate it up. You fell for marketing. You fool. You fell for marketing. And it sold like hotcakes. And I'm sitting here and it's just like, oh, yay. But I digress. Anyway.
I'll admit, I ate it up. I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. It was a nice little sit back, relax, and spend 3 hours of my day.
Go to the Catholic Church and repent for your sins.
That's right. You're what's wrong with society,
yeah,
Mike.
do 10 rosaries for that.
10 rosaries. Wow. Oh my gosh.
Do a whole decade, I think. Yeah. But anyway, so yeah, that was basically complaining about.
I'll be excited. Like
for
Starfield. Sorry.
Starcraft. Yeah.
Is not really hard on my radar, as you can tell by my mispronunciation of the goddamn it. I was excited. It's a Bethesda game, and I just, as soon as I see that it's out when it's out, and it's gonna be a bit longer after that before all the bugs are fixed. So. Oh,
and yeah, but
the reputation precedes them.
And here we go. Todd Apologism number 1.
Yeah.
You know what other game comes out completely bugged out of their mind at release?
2077.
Every game. Yes. Every game these days comes bugged out of their mind. Every game comes out broken. Every game comes out and it has technical issues. Every game comes out and it runs like crap. Every game does that.
It's one of the main reasons I still haven't touched Atomic Heart yet. I'm still waiting because I know there's probably still bugs that exist up there.
And to me, there were less bugs and there were more gameplay quirks. But yeah, that to me, and I'm gonna be real, and I think it's a bit upsetting. People will give Bethesda this much crap, but they won't give everybody else. They won't recognize that every other game comes out that broken. Other games come out more broken, in my opinion, than like there's been a few games that are just like actually unplayable at launch that have kind of, to me personally, I'm gonna say it personally, CD Projekt Red games come out more broken than Bethesda games do at launch.
Sacrilege.
Cyberpunk 2077 came out more broken than any of the last.
Absolutely.
Witcher 3, nobody talked, but Witcher 3 came out broken. Witcher 2 came out broken. Witcher 1 is still a beautiful, disgusting masterpiece of being broken. But nobody talks about it. Everybody talks about Bethesda because Bethesda has the funny memes that do it. Yeah. And the thing is that we all know it. We all expect it. We all know what we're getting into. And at this point, you're either you want to get in or you don't want to. And I'm going into the game, I got tempered expectations. And I've learned to temper my expectations with any game ages and ages and ages ago. But the thing is, and I'm gonna posit this question to you fellas and then to the audience as well.
All right.
What if the game is good? Just what if the game is good? If the game is good, and this is the thing, I think the game is going to be good. I think, one, it's their most ambitious game to date. And if they do the kind of procedural generation stuff that I'm thinking they're trying to do, they will revolutionize how procedural generation stuff is done, the same vein that Daggerfall did it. Because they've already have that in their DNA. And the way this game has been shown and marketed, and even with this delay, it reminds me a lot of the development of the Elder Scrolls 6 Oblivion. Like it's the same, almost like spookily, beat for beat. Was supposed to be released then got delayed a little bit more, and that sort of thing. And I'm gonna be real with y'all. When a Bethesda game hits, it will be Game of the Year. When a Bethesda game hits, like Fallout 3, like Oblivion, like Morrowind, and even to an extent Skyrim, even though like I have a lot of issues with it, and same with Fallout 4.
It sails alone.
Even with those issues, those games were high and above a lot of the other games that came out. There's still games, they're still selling Skyrim on every 20 million editions of it. Yeah. People are still playing Fallout 4. People are still making mods for Oblivion. People are still making mods for Morrowind. People are still making mods for Skyrim. And the thing is that like, if Bethesda can come out here and make a whole nother game and do it well, and if they can just launch a good Bethesda game, it'll be Game of the Year material. Easy. And we all are going into this experience with tempered expectations. We're all like, yeah, it's Bethesda. We know what we're doing. But there's got to be a part of your mind, and it's in my mind. There's got to be a part of your mind that's like, you know what? But what if it's good? And you put a smile to your face, and it's like, you know, you could have a lot of fun. And that's what I'm hoping for with Starfield. Because it's like a lot of people that want it to fail, and I'm just like, why would you want a game from a studio that you like to fail? Like, that's stupid.
I don't want it to fail. I have a lot of fun with Bethesda games. Mm-hmm. Like I've from Fallout 3, 4, pretty much, well, any of the Elder Scrolls games, Morrowind, Oblivion. Unfortunately, I've put an embarrassing amount of hours into Skyrim.
Like, it's okay. We've all been there. Yeah, we've all been there. Yeah.
But I have a lot of fun with all their games. Don't get me wrong. Like, no matter what they put out a good product. I need to give them a bit of a birth before I find that product to be.
And in my apologism, that in every other game. Every other game deserves that wide berth.
Yeah.
And that's my Todd Apologism for today, fellas. So I think this kind of segues a little bit nicely into the final topic that I think will also be pretty short here, but it's basically I have here, and this one I chose, is how much transparency do we want in games? And so basically we're talking about this a little bit before recording, and we're talking about this now, where it's when they announced Starfield, they also announced the Elder Scrolls 6. And it's this sort of to me, it was an announcement of just to like announce it to people, so all the Skyrim babies that got into Skyrim understood you're gonna like here, we didn't forget you. The game's here. The game's being developed. But to me, it would have been better and more just be to me transparent about it. And Bethesda's really good with that transparency. That they're developing Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6 will happen after. And they've even said in an interview that Fallout 5 will happen after Elder Scrolls 6 in, I don't know, the year 2080. But
yeah.
And I also made me think about, because I read a report that 4A Games, which are the guys that are developing the new Metro game, or develop the Metro games, they said that the new Metro game is now playable from the start to the finish. So they've kind of effectively reached the alpha phase, which to me was interesting because they're that kind of transparent, but they haven't even teased or announced this game in a more traditional marketing sort of sense. And so it kind of makes me wonder, when it comes to transparency, how much transparency do we want in our games? Do we want to know every single little bit of the nitty-gritty of development leading up to the release of a game? Or do we like a little bit more mystique, a little bit more, a bit more mystery to the game, where they're doing something, they're cooking something in the background, and then let them present it to you when they want to present it to you, sort of thing. So, I don't know, Mike, what do you think?
I mean, I kind of go to them when I want the presentation. Like, very rarely do I find out, like, oh, like this new game, like the Elder Scrolls 6 drop. I learned that from you today, and I just saw it today. Like, when did that drop out? A few weeks ago?
The Elder Scrolls 6 trailer?
Yeah.
That came out in 2018.
Oh, announcement.
Been years
announcement?
now.
Okay.
The announcement.
That's how far behind I am.
The announcement for Elder Scrolls 6 came out in 2018. Starfield and Elder Scroll. Yes, the video for it. Wow, that came out in 2018. So Starfield and Elder Scrolls 6 were announced at the same time.
Wow. And see, that's how far behind I am in some of this stuff, where I go to them when I want to find out what's going on, when I'm seeking that kind of entertainment. But at the same time, those leaks that just came out with, say, like GTA 6, I think it is now. Yeah, the newest GTA that's got leaked. They released a whole lot of like gameplay and stuff in the story, and they were furious. I was like, I actually kind of appreciated seeing that level of I don't know, just like that level of gameplay being provided. Like, okay, so this is where you guys are. And a lot of people, of course, were complaining. It looks like shit. Doesn't even look finished. It's like, yeah, this is like the beta. Barely even that. Like, this is still, they're still early in production on this, but it looks good. If they would start listening to the fans and ask for critiques, I think that's going to be a bit better. Like, how do I put it? Like the Sonic movie, when they say like, oh, look at this absolute horrendous monster. And the fans went, holy shit, change that.
That wasn't a leak that came out. And people went, oh my god. That was, they presented something.
And that's what I'm saying. That's, if they present it to the fans, then it gives the fans the type of like that reaction time to go, I'm not really going to buy this, or I am going to buy this, and they can kind of judge fan reaction. That could be damaging in itself, don't get me wrong, if you start pandering. But it also gives the ability for the fans to kind of be like, I don't like this aspect of like, you're throwing in like a shit ton of loot boxes, it looks like. Well, because of that, we're not too interested in the game anymore. Or it looks like you're trying to push more towards like a multiplayer aspect instead of single player. So we're going to start pulling our support for this game, and it kind of gives that pressure to game developers to make changes, make the fans happy.
Interesting.
I think some level of, not like full transparency, that we don't need to know every single little bit of nitty gritty thing that's going on, but to some degree, I think some more transparency than what is currently the norm in the industry right now would probably be appreciated, especially by a lot of people.
All right. Andrew, what do you think?
That certainly is a tough question, because while I agree there should be some level of transparency as far as like dates and then content of the game. I don't think that absolutely everything needs to be revealed, because at that point you're just losing out on kind of
the mystique.
The mystique. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, the mystique, the mysterious factor, and if everything is revealed just openly, then like you said, it does take away from the fun and that mystique, like you said. Good word, by the way. Mm-hmm. And it does. I think it would cheapen the experience to a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you both are way more. You both already have pretty much kind of laid bare kind of my thoughts about it. So. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure how much more I could add to it, really.
I feel so long as you keep the story under wraps, like you show the mechanics and how everything like gameplay works, but you keep story-wise, keep that shit locked down tight.
No, but that's part of the magic, though.
No, that makes sense.
That's still part of the magic. Like, it, even to me, I'm of the opinion, for example, if we take this 4A games thing, to me, it was strange. Like, if your game reaches alpha and you are ready to show that it's playable from beginning to end, which is usually what the alpha means, why not release a trailer to showcase your new game? Announce your game to the public. Use this to announce it. Like, to me, that was a very odd, though kind of a little bit refreshing to know it's like, oh, okay, there is a game in development. It's coming along quite nicely. Cool. Can't wait to go see it. But there's a part of me that's like, okay, now I know what's going on. Now, like, I know there's a game. It's a Metro game. It's the mystique of what it's going to be kind of goes away with it. And it's the same with, like, we'll take this GTA 6 leak. I didn't see any of the leaks because I'm not interested in any Rockstar drivel that has come out in the last little while. But it's one of those where it's like, I want them to present it as best as they can to win me over. And there is something to be said about first impressions. If the first thing you see about a game is a broken alpha sort of leak, that's your first impression. And first impressions don't leave. Or they're very hard to leave. They're very hard to correct. Personally, I am...
So long as...
Go ahead.
So long as you come in there and you understand that what you're seeing is so early, like with the GTA 6 leaks, circling back to that, when I saw that, I'm still going to buy that game. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, bad. Shame on you.
Yeah.
They don't need another $10 billion.
seeing it.
Don't need another more $1 billion.
Entry level like gameplay mechanics and all that, and kind of how jank it was. I was still intrigued on how far they can go. So, like the mysticism, yes, is no longer there on like what the game's going to be like, but seeing it doesn't really spoil it for me. It makes me more intrigued.
Same. And that might be just like different opinions, because to me, I've seen games like that, and the mysticism being gone, that's like part of the magic. Part of the magic is how does the game look when it's being played. Yes, I understand that like an alpha is different than the actual release, but it's not that different, to be honest. It's not
it's the Cyberpunk, the entry gameplay that they kind of presented.
That was not even alpha.
It was all faked.
It was
all fake. Mm-hmm. It was all fabricated. Mm-hmm. Like the stuff where they showed you the mantis arms like climbing on walls and like propping up above people for like assassin takedown stuff. Mm-hmm. Like that was all fabricated. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's a huge outlier in that case. But when they used that as their announcement, if they had shown development along the way, I think a lot of people would have clued into the fact that, hey, this game is nowhere near to the level of completion they had even said, and maybe it would have definitely hurt their sales, but I think their reputation may have been a bit more intact if people had called them out earlier instead of it being dumped on people's doorsteps that it was just a trash game.
No. And as I was going to say, and I kind of said before we started recording, is that to be that Bethesda shill again, and this is Bethesda Softworks, not Game Studios. Though Game Studios is they do kind of worked on this for the last few of their game releases, but I really do enjoy how Bethesda markets and presents their new projects. So for example, like we were talking before, Mike, how with Fallout 4, they showed it like, we all remember when it got shown off, and I was waiting for it. They showed it off in May. Here's like a presentation in June for like the E3 presentation, and then it comes in November or October, one of the two. Your big marketing campaign of only really maybe 6 months. And in May, it would be like 6 months or so.
Well, another thing that we touched on that earlier was how much information do you want? And as long as you get a lot, if there's hype that's created, that short term before the game is released, you just need to build that hype to create the sales. And that's really all they need to do. So that's marketing. Whereas introducing like how the game is coming along also plays its level in marketing on like people's not reliability. What's the word I'm looking for? Shit.
I don't know. What are you looking for?
I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. It like people's not comfort, but like the trust in the fact that what's being presented and what they're going to buy is going to be at least a finished or a reliable product.
What would give you more confidence? Them showing off the game, announcing the game, showing off parts of the game. Also, it's coming out in a couple months. Or them not showing off the game at all, not announcing the game at all. Somebody opening the oven, showing this half-baked cake and going, oh, yeah, it's a game, all right. It's a game, all right.
Yeah, probably the former than the latter.
Mm-hmm.
But
show me the half-baked cake, and then at the end, get me real excited for how good this cake is going to be, and then present me the cake. I'm still going to buy the cake.
But Mike, you've got to understand, a lot of times they're showing you this quote-unquote baking cake, and it's not a cake at all. It's like a cardboard cutout.
Mm-hmm.
Like take Anthem, for example. They showed us that gameplay trailer or whatnot, and it turned out that absolutely none of that was gameplay. That was all put together by their VFX team, and then they had to make a game to look like that.
That wasn't even done by
That ties
Bioware.
into like the whole Cyberpunk thing where they're pulling the wool over your eyes. They're feeding you bullshit.
So what should happen is there should be, if they do those trailers, and a lot of game companies do nowadays because it's easier than showing half-baked mechanics or whatnot, is that they should make it very painfully clear, like, this is what we intend the game to be,
this
but what you're looking at is not at all gameplay.
True. I'm trying to see it through more of the lens of like small-time creators, like animators that I pay attention to on like YouTube and stuff. They'll usually stream on like Twitch, and they'll say like, hey, here's some of the scenes that I'm doing, and like here's how I go about editing them and like creating them, or how I'm gonna like make the lighting better, all that kind of like stuff like that. And ultimately, I'm still like, even though I'm watching snippets of this episode that they're working on, I'm still gonna go and watch the full episode and enjoy it, despite the fact that snippets of it have been ruined for me. Now granted, I know I'm still gonna enjoy it. There are some people who want to go completely blind in, they don't want to know a damn thing about it, no spoilers or whatever. I respect that, but you know, to each their own. I'm of myself, if it's enjoyable episode or game, what have you, I'll enjoy it regardless of what I know.
Yeah, and for smaller projects like that, there is an avenue for having, like you're showing off more of the game development. You're exposing more people as the game is being developed to the development of it, and they can go and check something out or check a trailer or see that, you're actively working on it. And I think for a lot of smaller scale games, that's kind of a bit reassuring, because if it's being made by a single guy, then it's like, well, that at least we know he's doing something. But I am, as the awful showman that I am always going to be more into the presentation thing, because it's like, take I'm gonna say again, like, and we'll wait till the eventual release or reveal of GTA 6. But, like, to me, GTA 6, like, even though I'm, like, I guess that'd be a bad example. I'm trying to think of something else.
No, go ahead.
I don't know what's like GTA, because GTA 6 I don't really care for. So when the reveal trailer comes for it, I'm not going to be excited for it anyways. But say something like that, where it's like I saw the game, it's like, oh, oops, it got leaked. Here's the half. We'll go with Dragon Age. Dragon Age, I guess, is a good example, where we did see some of the gameplay and the combat gameplay and stuff like that. And it's been marketed for so long with no marketing, which is the funny part. No real, like, marketing. And we don't really... So now we, after all this time, we kind of actually know what the game looks like now. How it's being played and stuff like that. And that does make, like, your first impression. And then you compare it to the extreme end of the spectrum on the other end with another Bethesda game, which shows how much I love how they present their games and showcase them off, with Hi-Fi Rush, where they show the game off. Here's the game, here's like the reveal trailer, here's the gameplay, here's everything like that. Oh, by the way, you can play it now. Which one had me literally jump out of my seat and go crazy? Go like, oh my god, I gotta go play it now. I can go play it now.
Yeah.
And it's Hi-Fi Rush, right? And so there is something to be said where keeping it in, keeping the mystique in, keeping presentation and marketing, it's an art all its own. And while I do in a general sense, once the game is shown and marketed and there is maybe like a release date, do show like the game being in development, show this is what we've been working on. Here's this developer post, things like that. I do enjoy that. But in a, to me, like with the 4A game thing, that to me was really perplexing. Where you would say that your game is in alpha, where you could play from beginning to end, but you won't even announce what the game is. Like, that to me was really kind of interesting and kind of odd for me. But it also, there was also a bit of mystique in that, which is like, our game's already this far along, but you can't see it yet. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Is it still kind of like, still a little bit gritty? Is it still a bit like whatever? It's like, does it need a little bit more time in the oven for it to get like in a presentable state to have in a trailer? Even though a lot of trailers are just pre-rendered CGI trailers. So it's like, we never know. But that's basically what I got to say about that. You guys got anything more to add?
So it's sounding like, Mike, you're the type of person who wants to see the tricks of the magician, whereas Tom wants the secrets to be kept a little secret until after the show.
A little bit. I like a little bit of mystique, don't get me wrong. Like, if Starfield comes out and they've kept from us that they're going back to, like, Morrowind level exploration, like, we're not going to give you any waypoints. Everything is by journals, word of mouth, and all that stuff.
Hey,
I'll take that.
Hey, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that, did you know you could turn off the waypoints?
In Skyrim?
Yeah. Did you know you could that you could read notes in Skyrim?
Yeah.
Did you know that you could know where you're going from the environment? Skyrim is a lot worse for it, I'm gonna be real, but
Skyrim is absolutely horrendous.
But Oblivion's still pretty good. Oblivion, from like the quest log and things like that, you can't know where it is.
Oblivion is the one I have the least amount of time in, actually, at this point. I think Oblivion I've only got 6 hours in.
You only have 6, and that's a crime all its own.
Yeah, it's still a crime.
That's a crime. You have more.
Let me see if I can redeem myself.
To have more time in Skyrim instead of Oblivion, it's like you're doing a disservice because that game is so.
Okay, never mind. No, I have correction. I have 33 hours
in
Oblivion.
Ooh. Wow.
How much do I have in Morrowind, though? I guarantee I have more in Morrowind. I haven't even gotten halfway through. I haven't probably even gotten the third. Never mind. I only have. Oh no, I have 35 in Morrowind.
Are you playing these for the first time?
Yes.
Well, there's a first for everything, I guess.
I won't go too hard. Hopping in between all of them, honestly. It's God, Morrowind is just. Damn it! There is so much going on in Morrowind.
Yeah.
Holy hell!
Oh wow! You're telling me for the first time?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Anyway,
it's just one of the main reasons it's hard to stick around.
Anyway, to get back to the conversation, yeah, Andrew, I kind of am that way. I do. Show me the magic trick. Show me how cool it was. Show me like, holy crap, that's incredible. And then show me it's like, well, actually, we did it this way and we do it that way. That makes your magic trick all that more clever. When you show it off in a very cool and presentable way, and even you play it or something like that, and it's like, wow, this is magic, because games can be magic. And then after the fact, learning how it's done, that's where it's interesting. And there's like, I like the nitty gritty of development and things like that, but I don't care about the C++. I don't care about some guy. It's like, here's this what did you do today, John? And it's like, okay, we're at John's desk today, and what are you doing today? Yeah, I'm so I did the animation rig today for an animation. It's like, oh, what's the animation? You grabbing your weenie and going pee-pee on the urinal? And it's like, okay, cool, thanks, John. Like, I'm more interested in,
and that was an entire day's work too.
Yeah, I'm more interested like in the management, like that kind of back end. Why projects succeed or they fail, or like the personalities involved with the game development. Almost like with magic shows. Half of the magic is the personalities in there. And Todd is he's his own personality. Even other big
I'll give him that, yes.
If he comes out with his leather jacket, you will die if you touch him. That's how it works. That's like the poison apple.
God Howard.
Yeah, God Howard. But anyway, yeah, that's basically all I gotta have with this topic. And I assume we're all done here.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have had your little spat.
Yeah, my little spat. It's not even that bad.
Autistic ramblings.
This isn't even that bad. There's so much more. There's so much nastier things that could be said. But anyway, yeah, as with usual, at the end of our program, we talk about what we've been playing or watching. And so, Andrew, let's start off with you. What have you been playing or watching?
Okay. So, I actually am a little bit excited because I am still a Paradox addict, I'm afraid. I'm ashamed to admit. Hi, everyone. My name's Andrew. I'm a Paradox addict.
Hi, Andrew.
So after the reveal of the DLC for CK3 and Stellaris, I did relapse. I know. I relapsed into Stellaris again. I know. Thank you. But yeah. Oh.
Bad, Andrew. Bad. Don't do it again. Don't.
But also, I picked up that new Swords and Sandals Immortals, Tom. I know you're making making fun of me a little bit for that one.
Why play a Flash game when you could pay for it?
Yeah, why play a free Flash game when you could pay for it? Because Flash is dead, unfortunately. Rest in peace. Now the Immortals one is interesting because it is a little bit more story focused than a few of their other titles. Now I know they were going more so in that direction as of late, but that one's been okay so far. You can tell that they've really improved on a lot of their character sprites. That being their shopkeepers and stuff like that. The actual characters that you play and fight as, they've got that. They've been having that newer art style for many years now that I'm just not a fan of. I wish they could go back to the old classic Flash where they're kind of like just looking at the camera and just flailing their arms. There's something uniquely charming about that.
Mm-hmm.
But that will never happen again. We, in case people weren't aware, we attempted to raid Mike's stream and played some Rising Storm.
Oh yeah,
which was
we did
very
play
fun.
a bit of that.
Wouldn't mind doing that again.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, actually.
I'm gonna be real because I've been playing Rising Storm with our good friend Koiv in the server here, and we're kind of done with that game.
Oh,
we're gonna it's
just when I was starting to get back into it.
We'll play it for you. We'll play it for you guys. But if somebody tells me like, hey, you want to play this game? It's like, no, I don't think I will.
You want to play some Rising Storm?
Hey Joe, you want to play a zombie game?
Hey Opia, you want to play a zombie game? No.
Which one? All of them?
Yeah.
What's that?
Which one? All of them.
Oh yes.
Every single one ever made.
That's an Angry Joe reference that I don't think anybody gets.
Yeah, I haven't been an Angry Joe fan for a hot minute.
Yeah, I love my Perturb Pedro.
Take my money. $7 in my pocket. This is all I got because you greedy bastards.
That's right.
Yeah.
4 hours. So classic.
Him just showing up in the frame and shooting his gun. I love Angry Joe. I love him so much. My favorite fat Puerto Rican.
Oh my gosh. Is he Puerto Rican?
I'm Hispanic too. I'm Latino, I could say that.
Yeah, you're allowed to say that. I didn't know he was from Puerto Rico.
I don't think so. He's from Texas, but his family's from Puerto Rico.
Right. Well,
and then other Joe, his family's from Mexico, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, he looks a lot more mestizo. Joel is not Joel. Joe. Angry Joe, like I saw him ages and ages back, and I'm like, yeah, this guy's like Puerto Rican. It's like that's like, well, that's
back when you were in Venezuela.
No. I watched him. I watched him way later. But yeah, you got him. Yeah, when you're Hispanic like that, you got your Latino D.A.R.E, your Latino radar. You see somebody,
sort of things.
You see somebody, and you see how he talks, and it's like, yeah, mm-hmm. And it's just like, okay, kind of brown, maybe black. Oh, whips out the Bluetooth speaker at the beach. Yeah, he's Dominican.
Yeah.
It's like, guy playing baseball. Is he normal size? Oh yeah, okay, he's Venezuelan. It's like guy playing baseball and he's like 6 feet tall. And it's like, oh yeah, by the way, he's like 12 years old. And it's like, okay, that guy's Dominican.
They start speaking Spanish, but not just speaking it, but they're also like gesturing it. The entire body gets into the language of
they all gesture things differently. Yeah. They all gesture things differently. They all sing
specific gestures.
Everybody says things differently. They do, like people do kind of like gesture things differently. Then you got like goofy like Spain Spaniards. Spaniards. Yeah, where they speak Español Castellano, or they got the lisp. Yeah.
I always thought that was just like a terrible stereotype. Do they actually speak like that?
No, they talk with a stereotype. They don't talk with a stereotype. They talk with a lisp. Like a little bit funny. Like, for example, like, zapatos, which is shoes. in Espanol Castellano is zapatos, or like the island of Ibiza is Ibiza, or my favorite one because it has like 2 Z's in it is Zaragoza, which is Zaragoza. Zaragoza, which is one of the cities in Spain. Yeah, or Cadiz. Cadiz is another city in Spain, or Cadiz. And so, like we watched Alatriste, right? Alatriste.
Yes. Yeah. Oh my god, it's a great movie.
They all speak with accent. They all speak Espanol Castellano in it. So that's why, they all have that lisp.
Did Viggo Mortensen also speak with that lisp too?
Who?
Viggo?
Yeah. That's like the Spanish he learned was Castilian Spanish. So that's like when he speaks it in other roles, he speaks it with the lisp.
For anyone who's unaware of what we're talking about, this is the King of Gondor, Aragorn himself, playing a Spanish mercenary.
Yeah, in the 16th century. It's a great movie. It's a Spanish historical film that follows Viggo Mortensen as a Spanish mercenary captain during the height of the Spanish Empire. So if you like your pike and shot, if you love your Spaniards, if you love killing Dutch people, which I love doing, I love killing Dutch people, please clip this and send it to Dutch people. Please send it.
That's right.
This isn't a joke.
Well, the Wiggins family's gonna get you for this, Tom.
They're killing, they killed Dutch people in that one because they fight in Flanders, right? So, but it is a great, great movie on how awful it is to be a mercenary captain in 16th century Spain.
Oh my gosh, when they were in the trenches and they have to mix the egg with the bread and that's their source of food for the day.
That's your protein. That's your protein.
God.
Yeah. And then it's like, oh man, what's that? Oh, that's sulfur. They're going to try and kill him with sulfur.
Oh my gosh, you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You had the guys ducking under the pikes and cutting at their ankles. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, at the end. Yeah, when they're doing the pike and shot stuff. And I forget what battle it was, but that's like an actual battle where a lot of historians kind of say this was like the turning point where the decline of the Spanish Empire happened after that, where it was that Battle of Royes, I think. That was like, it was a Franco-Spaniard war. But anyway.
Right.
Anyway, Mike, what do you got?
I actually just finished up the Last of Us TV show.
Oh yeah, I did too. It's actually a few other things I was watching that I probably should mention as well, but I'll let you go, Mike.
It's gotten a lot of high praise. I don't know, how'd you enjoy it, Andrew?
It followed the plot of the game. I was satisfied.
See, that was kind of my biggest. It was just the game. It was just the game all over again. It was just all the cutscenes.
Yeah, you very much could have gotten the exact same story by just playing the game, but we all know that this show is not for people who are playing the game. It's for people who don't play games.
Yeah, we touched up on that. This is quite literally for the audience that would never have played the game just to enjoy it, which, don't get me wrong, it's alright, but it doesn't deserve the level of praise that I've been seeing. Like, people are acting like HBO has just hit it out of the park by not releasing mediocre drivel, like for not releasing Resident Evil with Mila Jovovich.
Yeah, heaven forbid we just have something decent. Or that Resident Evil that Netflix made, where the one where there was clipping
Lance
Reddick.
Bit. That was Lance Reddick.
God.
Oh,
that was Lance
Reddick. Rest in peace, Lance Reddick.
Oh no.
Rest in peace, Lance Reddick.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's not his last role, is it?
No.
God.
John Wick 4.
Yeah, John Wick 4.
Okay.
And then Hellboy in a video game is his last video game role. Because he was in a lot of games as well. Lend it his voice work.
Did cancer take him?
I don't remember.
I don't think we know yet.
He said he died of natural causes, so I'm not quite sure.
Natural causes? The man was 50.
60.
Lance Reddick, cause of death.
Yeah. No, somebody told me that, and I was like, "You're lying. Don't say that, please. You're gonna make me upset." And it made me upset because it was true, sadly. But
the man was 61. Died of natural causes?
Yeah,
I don't buy it for a second.
They must be the estate that's not releasing information. They probably don't want to say anything. And, more power to them. They want to keep it private, and they want to keep it private.
No. That's their right. My favorite LeVar Burton, not LeVar Burton. My favorite
LeVar Burton.
my favorite
my goddess.
My favorite Lance Reddick thing is when he was in the Eric Andre show. I wish I was a bar, and he's playing Geordie LaForge. He's got like the Geordie LaForge goggles, and he's like in chains, like his slave.
Yeah, he's in chains.
I wish that I were LeVar.
He's got the Star Trek pin on his chest, his bare chest.
I wish that I were LeVar.
The primal scream at the end.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Rainbow Road can't read me. Ah!
Yeah, you're gonna need a new desk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, King.
Oh yeah, no, legit.
Yeah. I did also see John Wick 4.
Oh.
Is that out?
Yeah, that just came out like yesterday, I think.
Oh, how it be?
It's still a great franchise. Every fight is still like a neon fever dream dance. They have, oh my gosh, my favorite character. He's like kind of like a secondary character, but my man is literally just they literally just pulled Big Jack Horner and they put him into the movie.
No, my.
It's just him. It's just him. It's fantastic.
You're not gonna shoot a puppy, are you?
Yeah, right
in the face. Why?
Oh boy, what you been doing, Mike?
For games, I mean, I've mostly just been kind of playing some old classics. I mean, I've been going back to RimWorld for a bit, but other than that, I've been playing.
Of course. No,
that's been my filler in between.
Go ahead.
I've been playing a lot of Metroid Prime. Downloaded some old Game Boy Advance games. So I got the Minish Cap, Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. I've been playing through that. You know, relive my childhood a bit. Been a lot of fun. I forgot how fun these old games were.
On a bit of a nostalgia bender.
Dip my toe into the Jedi Outcast.
Yeah, I've also been playing a few of PS classics. I've been playing Ape Escape. Playing Ape Escape.
Yes.
You caught the monkey.
Yeah, I caught the monkey. I'm like, yeah, I caught the monkey. It says, oh, you caught like 106 monkeys, and it's like feels like I've only caught 10. It's so wonderful. That's one of those games that when they said SIE, which is like Sony Interactive Entertainment, when they got shut down, people were like, oh yeah, whatever. And I'm like, those are the guys who made Ape Escape. It's like, you give them respect. You don't shut them down. You don't shut them down. But apart from that Ape Escape, the biggest project that I've been on playing through, I've been watching some stuff, but this is going to be long enough for me to talk about anyway, so I'll just leave it out. I've been running through Resi 1, 2, 3, and now, as of recently, I've been playing through 4. And so...
Like the remake demo or the original?
No, like I am playing the remake game right now.
How is it? I've been hearing really good things about it so far.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Like, is it sufficiently different from the original where it actually warmed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems like
we had the whole topic. I had to broach on that. Previous episode of the TomCast. You should go give it a watch.
Or no, second one. Sorry. Yeah, second one of the TomCast. I got things to say about it. Of course, that will lead to there. And let me start with my journey. Played the first one. I played that on PS1, or a piece of software that emulates, if you will, a PS1 thing. I do have a copy of it, so all those dumb idiots in the comments that are not there, I legally own the game, so you can't give me crap for it.
Then, Tom, you can't pirate if you legally own something that doesn't give you the right to do that.
But then for 2, played through Resident Evil 2 Remake. And so played through the two stories, Leon's story, of course, and then Claire's story, and then finished up a lot of the side stuff. And played through what's called the Force Survivor, which is you play as a hunk, which for the people out there that don't know anything about Resident Evil and the events of Resident Evil 2 and the zombie sort of outbreak, Umbrella basically is trying to catch their main scientist guy that has all the disease and all the virus stuff that he's trying to sneak out to give to the US government for money and other stuff like that. Hunk is like the Umbrella Security Service head team guy in there, and they go in everything goes to crap. They end up killing the scientist named William Birkin, and they take the G virus samples, and they leave and whatever. This game mode is you as Hunk trying to get to basically from the very end of the game to the beginning of the game to the front of the Raccoon City Police Department. And that mode is like, you got to do it fast. You have limited ammo, and it throws everything at you. Every enemy in the game is thrown at you, except for G virus. So like, to finish that mode, you need to be really, really, really good at the game. So by the time I finished that one,
limited ammo.
It's got also the best soundtrack in that game as well. Once I played that, and because I was already like done with Resi 2 and 4 Survivor, I didn't do the 5th Survivor, which is the Tofu Survivor, where you play you play the tofu with the stars cap.
That's so fun.
It's great. It's great that they had that in the game, because that was there in the original Resi 2 just as a to test the models and stuff like that and how it moves and how it collides with objects. That just made a piece of tofu. But anyway, because I beat the 4th Survivor on 2, I blasted through 3. I beat that game like in 3 hours. I blasted through it. And it's already kind of short, and that's kind of one of the main gripes I had against it. And it's still it's like a fun action movie, like Resident Evil game. And that's what it was on the PS1 as well, is that if the PS1 or Resi 1 and Resi 2 were like, Resi 1's your horror game, Resi 2 is your horror game with a bit of action. Resi 3 is like still in horror, but it's like your Aliens to your Alien. Like, it's way more action, way more fun. And then here I am at Resident Evil 4 Remake, and having recently completed the games and done really, really well in that, it's nice that the design philosophy for those games are so similar, where you do the same things and it just works. And you got still a lot of the same melee moves that you do from the original Resident Evil 4. And so I've been enjoying that. It's one of those where like you can tell if somebody's like played Resi 4 or any other Resident Evil game, of the new Resident Evil games anyways, before. Because it's like, if they haven't, it's like, oh, they shoot the head immediately. And it's like, no, you dumb idiot. You shoot them in the knee and then you kick them. Or you shoot them in the knee and you go right behind them and you give them a suplex and break their freaking necks.
Suplex, of course.
And so that's still in Resi 4 Remake. And so that made me put a big dumb smile on my face. But I've been taking it a bit slow. I've been playing it in kind of little short bursts, because when I play it, I go a lot faster than I expected I was going to, because I did literally just play 3 Resident Evil games before then. But
you're already a Resi veteran by this point.
And I've been playing them for years now. But also really, really enjoying this new take on it. I've always been of the opinion that Resident Evil 4, even though I really like that original game and it's a great Shinji Mikami game, it kind of put a lot of the more ridiculous aspects into Resident Evil, and that changed the tone of Resident Evil going forward to Resident Evil 7, where it's like, okay, soft reboot, we're gonna make it serious again, and a serious horror game again. Resident Evil 4, while it is spooky and it is well done, it's really kind of ridiculous in a lot of ways. And so this game, it has some of the ridiculous elements, but it's still very much grounded. It is, I haven't gone there yet. The point I'm at, I went and I just reached Ashley in the church. So from there, it keeps going, but very much more grounded, more kind of real, which is what I liked about the remakes, is that they've grounded them more in reality instead of just being kind of just super and ridiculous, even though I do like super and ridiculous. But I'm curious to see where they go moving forward. Like, I've really been enjoying it so far, and if there is one game, and this is comparison between 2 remakes that have come out recently, and whether or not I like one or the other. So if you've seen my Dead Space remake with that one, that's a remake where, one, the original game is already so good that you don't really need to remake it.
Yeah.
And then two, it's like such little difference. They add some stuff that's nice. They add some changes that are nice. But overall, it's one of those that, like, you could play the old game and get the same experience. This time around, mechanically wise, gameplay wise, it's the same that way. The story and tone is different, even though it is kind of the same story. So it's just kind of, there's a difference between, like, do you want a freshly made Dead Space, or do you want a Dead Space 2023 that is microwave leftovers of this one? Not to say the microwave leftovers can't be good. Or do you want, like, a tiramisu? Do you want Walmart brand tiramisu or Costco brand tiramisu? They're both tiramisu. They're both probably pretty good. They're both, or maybe not. Maybe that's probably a bad analogy.
Yeah, I was about to say,
tiramisu,
I probably want more from.
Yeah, for a Costco probably instead of Walmart. Go to, I don't know, a bar somewhere here in Pasticceria in Italy. Go from one tiramisu to another tiramisu. So it's like same thing done a little bit differently. Both have their own kind of unique flavor on it that makes it interesting and different. But I've also haven't finished it, so we'll see how it goes. And then there'll be a video on that soon. After this video is up, then yeah, that'll be the next video. So yeah, that's basically what I have been doing lately. That is basically all I have for you fellas for today. I don't know. Is there anything you guys want to say?
Have you been kept up with the Mandalorian?
Yeah, I've been keeping up with that, but so far, second episode, yeah, because there was when we watched it, it was the premiere episode, which was just okay. Second episode was good. I enjoyed it. Third episode was really good. I really enjoyed it. Even though some people said, nah, it's boring, it's whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool, shut up.
It wasn't even about the Mandalorian at all. Like,
and it's like, okay, cool. Here's do you see that this X on the ground? Yeah, the red X. Yeah, the red X on the ground. Red X that's just right on top of the grand piano. Yeah, the red X that's right on top of the grand piano. Could you stand over there, please? And I'm like, yeah, okay. And then you flip the switch, hit the lever cronk, and then it breaks their neck. They die.
But Tom, then the grand piano would land on you instead because Acme doesn't make good products.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's true. They were standing on a green X, and I'm on the red X because I'm colorblind.
That's right.
And then the grand piano lands on me. But no, pretty good. To be, I guess, so bold, I've been more interested, and I think it's, so far, one just started and the other one's ending this next week, is Bad Batch. That show, it has quite a bit of filler, I'm not gonna lie. Some of the filler's really good though, but when it's not filler, Bad Batch hits harder than The Mandalorian is hitting right now, and that's just my humble opinion, but...
Okay. Might have to actually give that one a watch.
Oh yeah,
that and all the Clone Wars. Yeah, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. This is
we definitely don't talk about Rebels.
Yeah, this is a judgment-free zone. It's a one we judge people judgmentally.
Yeah.
Kanan
judge. Yeah, but that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's all I basically got to say, fellas. You guys got any more closing remarks? Anything to say?
I've done my plugs. Mike?
Stay in drugs, kids. Don't do school.
For legal president, I do not recommend that advice. I recommend you kill your local drug dealer.
Oh my gosh!
And then you blast him. You go like, Daddy, is this a Glock 18? He's like, yeah, son. You use it like this. and you point at him, and then you do the kill shot. You turn your wrist over, and then you use the full auto.
That's a kill shot.
Use the fully automatic mode to kill that guy. To kill that man, the drug dealer. But anyway,
we work on Rodrigo Duterte rules in this house.
Yeah. Well, we have a Filipino here. Got a Filipino here.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the end of this episode, Andrew will come out of his wonderful shell, like a beautiful, what do they call a bug? Yeah.
I feel a bird from my shell like a beautiful butterfly.
Like a butterfly. Or like a moth. Right. And he will turn into Quaaludes, Andrew. And that is a reference ain't nobody's gonna get.
Quaaludes, you say?
Anyway, that's the 4th episode wrapped up, fellas. For the audience out there, I hope you have a wonderful day or evening. And we're all gonna see you all next time. Take it easy, fellas.